a pirate boat tries to board the vessel, and that's the response from the private security on board.
From daring hijackings to tense naval confrontations, some Somali pirates thought they could outsmart the world's most powerful navies until they found themselves outgunned, outmaneuvered, and begging for mercy. Today, we'll dive into the stories of real Somali pirates who messed with the wrong navy, only to discover they'd picked a fight they couldn't win. Some ended up in handcuffs, while others didn't live to tell the tale. Number 15. U.S. Navy attacked by pirates. On March 18, 2006, Somali pirates crossed a line that no one saw coming. They attacked 2 U.S. Navy vessels. Yes, you read that right. Pirates, armed with nothing but their usual weapons, dared to go after fully equipped warships. However, there's more to the story than just the audacity of it all. By 2006, the Somali coastline had become a breeding ground for piracy. Naval control was practically non-existent, and pirates had been racking up success by hijacking merchant ships for hefty ransoms. Their success wasn't just limited to cargo ships, they even went after UN aid vessels, and at one point, a cruise liner. These escalating attacks pushed the US and its coalition partners in Combined Task Force 150 into action, launching an operation to crack down on pirate vessels. That fateful day, the USS Gonzales spotted a suspicious-looking skiff towing 2 smaller boats off the Somali coast. It had all the telltale signs of a pirate vessel. The USS Cape St. George was brought in to tail the skiff until dawn, and soon 2 teams of specially trained Navy personnel were sent in to investigate. Before they could make a move, the pirates struck first, opening fire. The situation escalated quickly, and the pirates weren't content to simply fire and flee. They pursued the Navy ships and attacked with rocket-propelled grenades and other heavy arms. It was a bold but doomed move. The US Navy returned fire with precision, and within moments, the largest skiff was engulfed in flames. The 2 smaller skiffs, after putting up a brief resistance, eventually surrendered. In the end, 1 pirate was killed and 12 were captured, proving that while the pirates may have had the nerve to attack, they stood no chance against a force like the US Navy, yet they still tried a desperate and reckless gamble that backfired spectacularly. However, this next one is a tale of high seas action straight out of a thriller. Number 14. Battle of Minoy Island. In January 2011, the Battle of Minoy unfolded. Though calling it a battle might be a stretch, it was more of a one-on-one confrontation, but it had all the intensity of a full-scale skirmish. The stage was set during Operation Island Watch, where Indian naval forces went head-to-head with Somali pirates. The pirates, stationed aboard the former Thai fishing trawler Prantalay 14, made the mistake of attacking the Indian Navy vessel INS Kankaso on the morning of January 28th. What kicked off this encounter was a routine patrol by an Indian Coast Guard Dornier Tu-28 aircraft. The plane spotted a couple of skiffs trailing suspiciously behind a Bahamian container ship. It didn't take long for the pirates to realize they'd been caught. They knew the gig was up and tried to slink back to their fishing trawler, hoping to escape unnoticed. But the Indian Navy wasn't about to let them get away. 3 Navy ships were deployed immediately, and the chase was on. Despite a warning call, the pirates ignored it, forcing the Navy to fire a shot across the bow. The pirates weren't backing down without a fight, though. Armed with AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenades, they returned fire, and the sea lit up with gunfire. The exchange turned into an all-out firefight that stretched on for 12 hours. Both sides hammered at each other relentlessly, but the Prantalay 14 was eventually overwhelmed. The trawler caught fire, signaling the beginning of the end for the pirates. With their ship burning, they had no choice but to abandon it and surrender. Reports say 35 people fled the burning vessel, but not all were pirates. 15 of them were sailors who had been taken hostage during a previous hijacking. Of the remaining pirates, 10 were killed in the battle, and the rest were arrested and taken to Mumbai. This was no simple standoff. It was a marathon of firepower and endurance, a pirate drama that unfolded on the open seas. The pirates went in thinking they had the upper hand, but after hours of resistance, they faced the inevitable, either death or capture. There was no way out, and the only prize they walked away with was a one-way ticket to prison. Next up, we have a hijacking that went horribly wrong. Number 13. Danish Oil Tanker Hijacking. On March 25, 2023, Somali pirates made their move on a Danish-owned, Liberian-flagged oil tanker in the Gulf of Guinea, thinking they'd hit the jackpot. What they didn't realize was that this attack would turn out to be far more trouble than they bargained for. The pirates stormed the tanker, and just like that, contact with the 16 crew members was severed. Inside the ship, the crew did what they could, taking shelter in the tanker's secure room, but it was clear to everyone that the pirates had full control. 3 of the attackers took command of the ship, while the fate of the crew hung in the balance. The pirates likely assumed they were home free, but they were wrong, dead wrong. What they didn't know was that the French Navy had already launched a full-scale search for the tanker and wasn't about to let them vanish into the vast ocean. For over a month, the French Navy relentlessly tracked the vessel. By May 2023, the tanker, now identified as the Monjasa Reformer, was finally located off the coast of São Tomé and Príncipe. When they caught up to the ship, the pirates had already kidnapped 6 of the 16 crew members, taking them deep into Nigerian territory. However, the French Navy wasn't going to leave anyone behind. A meticulously planned search operation was launched, leading to the recovery of all 6 hostages from an undisclosed location in Nigeria. To everyone's relief, the crew members, though shaken, were in surprisingly good health, far better than anyone had anticipated after such an ordeal. The pirates thought they could disappear with their prize, but in the end, it was the French Navy who had the last word. This wasn't a victory for the hijackers, it was their downfall. And in yet another failed attempt, these next pirates targeted a German-owned cargo ship. Number 12. MV Courier Hijacking. In 2009, 9 Somali pirates set their sights on a cargo ship cruising through the infamous Gulf of Aden, also known as Pirate Alley, for good reason. These waters are a hotbed of pirate activity, but what the pirates didn't count on was the German Navy's determination to put an end to their little game. It wasn't going to be a Tom and Jerry chase. Where the pirates slipped away, they were about to learn the hard way that the German Navy doesn't play around. The moment the attack was launched, the pirates must have thought they had the upper hand, armed with rocket-propelled grenades and automatic weapons. They closed in on the ship, ready to take control. But what they didn't realize was that their every move had already set off alarm bells. The German frigate immediately dispatched a helicopter to the scene, and it wasn't alone. A chopper from the US Navy's USS Monterey joined in, and now the pirates were outnumbered and outgunned. The pilot on patrol that day recalled how the distress call came through loud and clear. The MV Courier was under attack. However, the pirates didn't expect what came next, a swift and calculated response that turned the tide in favor of the crew. With the combined might of German and US forces, the pirates' fate was sealed. They tried their best to put up a fight, but against a well-armed naval response, their attempts were futile. By the end of the standoff, all 9 pirates were captured and handed over to Kenyan authorities to face justice. It makes one wonder how they even thought they could take on a massive ship with military-grade defense so close at hand. In the end, they paid the price for their overconfidence, proving once again that piracy in Pirate Alley often ends in defeat, not riches. As if they hadn't learned their lesson, they even tried taking on the Royal Navy. Number 11. Royal Navy and Pirates. The 11th of November, 2008, became a defining moment for the Royal Navy, marking one of its most intense showdowns with Somali pirates. The drama unfolded 110 kilometers south of the Yemeni coast, in the notorious Gulf of Aden, a region swarming with pirate activity. This time, the pirates were up against HMS Cumberland, and they didn't know what was coming. Rather than sit back and wait for the pirates to make their move, the Royal Navy took the fight to them. Spotting a dhow with 12 pirates on board, the crew of the Cumberland launched an all-out offensive, catching the pirates off guard. These Somali attackers weren't about to give up without a fight, though. They fired back, hoping their assault rifles would fend off the highly trained naval forces. However, the pirates' firepower was no match for the Royal Navy's strategy and precision. The battle escalated quickly, and within moments, the dhow was overwhelmed. 2 of the pirates were killed in the exchange, marking the first time the Royal Navy had engaged in a deadly shootout with pirates. The rest of the crew, realizing they were out of options and outgunned, had no choice but to surrender. The chase was over, and the pirates, once so confident in their ability to escape, were taken into custody. The aftermath saw the captured pirates handed over to Kenyan authorities in Mombasa just days later, on the 18th of November. What makes this incident stand out is how it wasn't just another pirate encounter, it was the Royal Navy's first deadly confrontation with Somali pirates, setting a new precedent for how piracy would be handled in those perilous waters. There was no escape this time, no second chance. The pirates met their match, and history was made. For this next one, just picture 2 ships hijacked by pirates on the same day, and both saved in a dramatic fashion. Number 10. Double win by the Indian Navy. It sounds straight out of a movie, but that's exactly what the Indian Navy pulled off in January 2024, and it's a story worth telling. The chaos started when Somali pirates took control of 2 Iranian fishing vessels. The first distress call came in fast, and the Indian Navy didn't hesitate. The INS Citra patrol vessel sprang into action, zeroing in on the first target, the Oman fishing vessel. 17 Iranian crew members were in danger, but thanks to the swift response, they were rescued, safe and sound. But it wasn't over. Soon after, another distress signal was received, this time from a Pakistani vessel under siege. 19 crew members were trapped aboard the Al Naimi fishing vessel, with 11 Somali pirates holding them hostage. The Indian Navy wasted no time, launching a second rescue operation that ended with 10 pirates in custody. The images released later showed the aftermath: captured pirates, crew members saved, but there was still some mystery. How many pirates had been on the Oman? No one knows for sure. And just when you think it couldn't get more intense, it does. On that very same day, a Sri Lankan fishing vessel was also rescued, this time with the help of Sri Lankan forces. 3 successful rescue missions in a single day? It doesn't get more heroic than that. The Indian Navy's actions that day were nothing short of legendary, proving that when the stakes are high, they rise to the challenge every single time. In a similar twist of fate, this next band of pirates gravely underestimated their victims. Number 9. Spanish ship attacked. In November 2011, the Spanish oiler Patino was back in the Indian Ocean as part of Operation Atalanta, this time as the flagship of the EU naval forces. By January 12, 2012, the ship was on a routine mission, delivering humanitarian aid to Mogadishu. However, things took a sharp turn when an alert was raised a skiff had been spotted creeping alongside the ship. Now, it didn't take long to realize this skiff wasn't there by accident. Reports later confirmed 7 men were on board, and they had clearly miscalculated. These pirates thought they were targeting an easy merchant vessel, unaware they were lining up against a heavily armed naval ship. That mistake would cost them. Without warning, the skiff opened fire, unloading automatic weapons into the side of Patino. The hull and funnel were hit, but the Spanish sailors were ready. What followed was an explosive firefight. The pirates had made the first move, but they were met with far more firepower than they expected. The Spanish crew returned fire in what they later called a self-defense response, and it didn't take long for the tables to turn. The skiff was scattered, their attack crumbling under the heavy retaliation from Patino. Even after taking serious hits, the pirates continued their aggression, refusing to back down, but they were clearly outmatched. The naval forces held their ground, unleashing a relentless defense that left the pirates with only one option: retreat. The story didn't end there. As the pirates fled, thinking they could escape, Patino launched its helicopter to chase them down. For 3,000 yards, the pursuit continued, and the pirates' hopes of escape dwindled. It all came to a head when they were finally caught and arrested. Their brief attack ended in complete failure. What began as a daring pirate raid quickly turned into a disastrous misstep. The pirates misjudged their target, and they paid the price, learning the hard way that the Spanish Navy wasn't to be underestimated. The next incident proved to be a long-winded affair, but the Chandlers didn't let it dampen their spirits. Number 8. The daring rescue of the Chandlers. Freed after a grueling year in captivity, this case stands out for one simple reason. No one really thought Paul and Rachel Chandler would survive. On October 23, 2009, the British couple's dream voyage took a nightmarish turn when Somali pirates hijacked their yacht. The Chandlers had set sail from the Seychelles Islands, bound for Tanzania, completely unaware of the danger that lay ahead. Just 90 miles into their journey, the pirates struck, boarding the yacht and taking the couple hostage. The pirates wasted no time in making demands $7 million for their release. However, the British government, sticking firmly to its no-ransom policy, refused to budge. No matter how many desperate messages were sent, the Chandlers were left stranded. It was a calculated stance by the government, meant to avoid setting a dangerous precedent that would encourage more kidnappings. But for Paul and Rachel, it meant months of uncertainty and fear. As the months dragged on, the pirates grew increasingly frustrated, releasing video after video of the couple pleading for their lives. With no ransom in sight, the pirates likely began to realize they wouldn't get the payday they'd hoped for, but instead of letting them go, they kept the couple captive for over a year. Incredibly, 13 months later, hope arrived from an unexpected source. An extended family member privately negotiated with the pirates, eventually paying a ransom to secure Paul and Rachel's freedom. After 366 days in captivity, the couple was finally rescued. What's perhaps most surprising is that their ordeal didn't deter them. In interviews following their release, the Chandlers were clear they wouldn't be giving up their love for the sea. In fact, they were already planning their next adventure, showing that even after such a terrifying experience, they weren't ready to let fear win. Number 7. Liberian flagged tanker. In November 2023, the Liberian flagged tanker Central Park, linked to Israel, found itself under attack in the waters off Yemen's coast. The incident started with a bang, literally. 2 ballistic missiles were fired at the ship, sending shockwaves through the region. Initially, all eyes were on the Houthi rebels, with many pointing fingers at them. But things took a twist when the truth surfaced. It wasn't the rebels, it was Somali pirates behind the whole operation. What makes this story even stranger is what happened next. After seizing control of the tanker, the pirates did something unexpected. They let the ship go, releasing the vessel and its entire crew without a scratch. 22 sailors from India, Bulgaria, Turkey, the Philippines, and Vietnam were on board, all safe and unharmed. The tanker, which was carrying a cargo of phosphoric acid, was left intact, raising the question, what were the pirates really after? The situation became clearer when the U.S. military's Central Command stepped in. According to their report, the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, USS Mason, had responded swiftly to the distress call from Central Park. The Mason tracked the pirates and demanded the immediate release of the tanker. It didn't take long before the pirates realized they were in over their heads. They tried to flee, but you can't outrun the Mason. The pirates surrendered, bringing the tense situation to an anticlimactic end. The 5 armed pirates had hoped for an easy getaway, but their attempt to escape was cut short by the relentless pursuit of the U.S. Navy. In the end, the attackers had no choice but to give in, learning the hard way that when you're being followed by the USS Mason, there's no way out. This next confrontation shows how quickly things turn as the crew fought back with their wits. Number 6. MV Taipan Hijacking. In April 2010, Somali pirates set their sights on the German container ship MV Taipan about 500 miles off the Somali coast. Armed and ready, they stormed the vessel in the Indian Ocean. The crew, knowing they were vastly outgunned, fought back the only way they could, using barbed wire and fire hoses to fend off the attackers. Unfortunately, pirates weren't easily discouraged. They pushed through and boarded the ship, thinking they had control. What they didn't expect was the crew's next move. The Dutch Marines, hiding in the ship's citadel, cut off the power, turning the entire ship into a silent, dark fortress. The pirates had no idea what was happening. Before they could act, the Dutch Navy swooped in and stormed the ship. What followed was a swift takedown, arrests made, pirates in custody, and not a single crew member harmed. The entire incident, captured on video by a German P-3C Orion, shows the pirates tailing the ship, confident in their plan. At first, only one boat appears, but then another joins, as if they believe more numbers means certain success. It didn't take long before the Dutch Marines flipped the script. Within hours, the Navy had full control, and the pirates' grand plan had crumbled. By 2012, the captured pirates faced justice. Germany's first modern-day piracy trial sentenced them to 7 years behind bars. In the end, it was clear they hadn't thought their plan through, and they paid the price for their reckless ambition. Now here's another daring tale from the Indian Navy, who seem to have a knack for being in the right place when pirates strike. Number 5. MV Layla Norfol. On January 6, 2024, they confirmed the rescue of a bulk carrier that had nearly fallen into pirate hands. The ship, the Liberian-flagged Layla Norfol, had been cruising through the Arabian Sea when it was boarded by 6 armed pirates just days earlier, on January 4th. The moment the distress call came through, the Indian Navy jumped into action, deploying the warship INS Chennai to the scene. Through quick thinking, the crew of the Layla Norfol managed to re-establish contact with the Navy, and from there, the situation flipped. The pirates, sensing the Navy closing in, quickly realized they were outmatched. Faced with the inevitable, they abandoned their hijacking plans and fled, unable to withstand the pressure of the relentless pursuit. When the Navy finally arrived, they found 21 crew members, 15 of them Indian, shaken but unharmed. But the pirates, they were long gone, having fled before the Navy could apprehend them. It seems they knew exactly what was coming if they stuck around and decided to vanish while they still had a chance. The rescue was a victory, though incomplete without catching the culprits. However, it's clear the pirates understood one thing. When the Indian Navy shows up, it's time to run. Somali pirates are notorious, and in October 2009, they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Number 4. French Navy attacked by pirates. Their target was a French Ocean Graphical Command ship in the Indian Ocean region. The pirates, operating at night, probably considered that they had found some kind of an easy target for attack, not knowing that the vessel they were approaching was a warship loaded with weapons. When the pirates attacked firing shots with Kalashnikovs and prepared to board, the French sailors took their revenge. Not only did they prevent the hijackers' attempts, but they also arrested 5 members of that group. It emerged many years later that these pirates, using 2 small fishing boats, never knew that they were confronting a real naval ship. The moment they realized, fear seized the pirates and they tried to leave as fast as possible. But the French were not ready to let them go that easily. They were followed by 1 hour of chasing before the French ship trailed behind them with more determination to catch the skiffs. Amazingly, after the pursuit terminated, 5 pirates were arrested and no firearms were recovered on the ship. Perhaps they threw everything that could be thrown overboard in a bid to eliminate every trace. By then, the damage was already done. They learned the hard way that not every ship is a prize, and some mistakes come with swift consequences. With confidence riding high, the pirates tried again, but their luck ran out once more. Number 3. MV Sirius Star Attack. In November 2008, Somali pirates made a daring move, targeting the massive Saudi-owned oil tanker Sirius Star as it sailed roughly 450 miles southeast of the Kenyan port of Mombasa. It wasn't just any ship they were after. This was a colossal prize loaded with barrels of crude oil valued at over $100 million. When the pirates boarded, it was clear they had hit the jackpot. The crew found themselves at the mercy of these heavily armed attackers. The tanker, along with everyone on board, was under complete pirate control. The situation turned dire as the pirates issued their demands, a ransom of several $1 million for the safe release of the ship and its crew. They knew they had leverage, and the clock was ticking. Negotiations dragged on, with tension escalating as weeks passed. The world watched as one of the largest oil tankers ever seized by pirates sat in the hands of Somali hijackers. Finally, on January 9, 2009, a deal was struck. A hefty ransom of $3 million was handed over to the pirates. But when you compare that sum to the cargo on board, It's a small price to pay. With over $100 million worth of crude oil sitting in the tanker's belly, the ransom felt like pocket change. For the pirates, however, it was a massive victory. $3 million in hand and no casualties on their end. They had played their cards perfectly. For the owners of Sirius Star, the ransom, though significant, was a mere fraction of what was at stake. It was a high-stakes game of survival and negotiation. And in the end, the pirates got their money, while the tanker and its precious cargo was freed. 2008 and 9 were some notorious years for pirate activity. However, on April 8th, it reached a new level of chaos. Number 2. Maersk Alabama. The Maersk Alabama, a US-flagged cargo ship, was hijacked by 4 Somali pirates in the Indian Ocean, and the pirates boarded the vessel, taking complete control in what would become one of the most infamous piracy incidents of the decade. Captain Richard Phillips, in command of the ship, was taken hostage, and the pirates didn't waste any time. They forced him onto a lifeboat, demanding a ransom of $2 million for his release. What followed was a tense standoff, with negotiations dragging on without any clear resolution. The US Navy, unwilling to let the situation escalate further, decided enough was enough. On April 12th, Navy SEAL snipers were called into action, launching a daring rescue mission. In a precise operation, 3 of the pirates were killed, and Captain Phillips was freed, miraculously unharmed. This incident marked the first successful hijacking of a US-flagged ship since the 19th century and became a global headline. The story of Maersk Alabama became so well known that it was eventually turned into a major film. What started as a dangerous hostage situation ended in a dramatic Navy rescue, solidifying this event in maritime history. This wasn't the last time pirates misjudged their target, as May 5th, 2010 was a day when the stakes couldn't have been higher. Number 1. MV Moscow University. The Somali pirates, famous for their daring acts of piracy, chose their next target MT Moscow University, a Liberian-registered Russian-owned supply vessel that transports oil. Sailing some 500 nautical miles from Somalia's coast, the ship was easier in the pirates' eyes, making it a perfect prey. What was supposed to be a simple goal set itself as a showdown almost immediately. The pirates tried to attack the vessel and seize the boat with the use of force, but the crew had a different strategy in mind. Instead of confronting the attackers, the resourceful crew went into the radar room, barred the door, and defended the room with whatever was available. It was not a safe bet, but it ensured them time, which they needed. While the pirates were moving around the ship in search of their targets, the crew was able to send a distress signal, a call that would activate the Russian Navy. The response was swift and planned. The Russian Navy immediately sent the destroyer Marshal Shaposhnikov on the mission, and the destroyer rushed toward the hijacked ship. Far from waiting for the matter to spiral out of control, the rescue process was underway by May 6th, a day less than 24 hours. The Russians did not bother with formalities. They fired warning shots in an attempt to warn those on the ground before deploying a helicopter with naval infantry commandos. A team of commandos reached the tanker, and what happened next was a classic marine operation. The pirates never thought they'd create such a storm for themselves, and so they were overwhelmed very quickly. All of the crew was saved with no injuries, while 10 of the pirates were apprehended at the scene. In the end, the MV Moscow University was saved, and the pirates' attempt to capture the tanker was met and stopped in a very short time. It was a reminder that while pirates may take their chances, they often find themselves facing forces far more powerful than they had bargained for. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.